The Black Ops series is by far my favorite in the Call of Duty franchise, but I'm really worried Treyarch's next release isn't gonna feel like a Black Ops game. After 2020 and the popularity of Warzone, someone over at Activision decided it would be a good idea to force every development studio working on Call of Duty to use the Infinity Turd engine for every game moving forward. Now, some of you might be happy about this change, especially if you're one of the people that thought Claymore Camping Modern Warfare 2019 was a good game, but regardless of which game you preferred, one of the best and worst things about Call of Duty is the annual release cycle, where each development studio, Infinity Ward, Treyarch, and Sledgehammer, had their own style or flavor, if you will, of Call of Duty. If you didn't like the new game, you always had the previous one you enjoyed to fall back on, or vice versa. If you're like me and you hated Modern Warfare 2019, then you had the next game to look forward to, which ironically ended up being Black Ops Cold War, the last real Call of Duty built on Treyarch's own engine. And that variety is basically going away now unless Microsoft performs a miracle and revives the old Call of Duty titles by bringing them to Games Pass with crossplay and updated security, which I don't know about you guys, but I would prefer that over a new Call of Duty. Now that I'm on PC, being able to go back and play Black Ops 4 with a bunch of people, whether they're on console or PC, and have it be safe where I'm not going to get hacked would be amazing. One of the oldest and most common complaints about Call of Duty is that it's the same game a different year, similar to what we see with games like FIFA or NHL. Do you guys remember when Madden forgot to change the year of the stadium banner in the game? At least in the past, when people made this complaint, each title still had some semblance of a unique identity. But this complaint is going to be valid now more than ever. Sure, you can change the theme of the game, but overall, it's probably not going to feel that different from what we have in Modern Warfare 3. Take Outbreak in Modern Warfare 3, for example. Sure, Treyarch developed that game mode, but it doesn't feel like the zombies we all know and love. And if that's any indication of what's to come, then the unique and fun aspects, or that Treyarch style feel, those are essentially going to be a thing of the past. When Gulf War launches, we're basically going to see what it's like when Treyarch develops an Infinity Ward game. Now, there are some massive benefits that come with every game being built on the same engine, but we'll go over those later. Before we go on, drop a comment below and let me know what you think of this game engine change. If you're a fan, maybe indifferent, or upset about it like me. I want to go back to the criticism that Call of Duty just keeps pumping out the same game year after year. I see a lot of comments on social media from people saying that they quit playing Call of Duty years ago because it got stale. And if people felt that way back when Treyarch at least had their own art style and engine, it's definitely going to be said about Call of Duty for the foreseeable future. We've already seen a ton of complaints about Modern Warfare 3 feeling like basically a paid DLC. And sure, that's in part due to people assuming Modern Warfare 2 was going to get a second year of support, and Activision kind of leading us on about it. But I think we can all admit, going from Vanguard to Modern Warfare 22 and now Modern Warfare 23, the game just feels stale. I used to look forward to Treyarch's game every year because they always found a way to bring something unique to Call of Duty. Treyarch has always been the studio that is willing to try the most wacky or crazy out there ideas in Call of Duty. The Zombies game mode was literally built out of a passion project and a willingness to try something new and interesting. They took a risk, which is not something we really see in games anymore. We saw Treyarch build Call of Duty's very first battle royale with Blackout back in Black Ops 4. And say what you want about the multiplayer in that game, fine, it might not have been your cup of tea, but Blackout was absolutely a fantastic battle royale. They even did massive updates to Blackout with map changes that were tied into the season's specific theme. Hell, they even had a season where the map was dark, foggy, and the river had turned blood red, or the Zombies themed season. Now, I say all of that to say, with Call of Duty moving to one unified engine, I'm extremely worried about Treyarch's next release in 2024. I can't stand the new Call of Duty engine, and I don't really care what anyone says about the improved lighting or the improved graphics. The engine just fundamentally doesn't perform well. This engine is the only one where somehow, whenever there's an update, it always breaks the game. Even after the update is complete, you still need to restart the game even if you didn't have it open. Somehow, all future Call of Duty content built around this game engine gets leaked like 2 years in advance, which I don't understand how that has anything to do with the game engine, but that's just a pattern that I've noticed. The mouse and keyboard input feels like garbage even after numerous updates, and sure, they finally got it to a place where it's at least serviceable, but it's nothing compared to how good mouse and keyboard feel is in a game like Apex Legends. Maybe I'm making too big of a deal about all of this, and Treyarch really will pull through and deliver something that feels like their own game. I know that the engine doesn't necessarily determine everything about how the game looks and feels, but all we have to go off so far is the last 3 years. I genuinely hope that I'm wrong, because nothing would make me more happy than to see Treyarch deliver a good game. and the Call of Duty franchise desperately needs it. I'm not one of those people that thinks Call of Duty is dead or it's a dying game. Sure, the franchise is kind of bleeding players, albeit slowly, but the game in general has just kind of hit a plateau at the moment. If you're enjoying the video, do me a favor, drop a like on it and subscribe for more first-person shooter content. Now, there are a few counter-arguments to everything that I've just said, one of them being that each studio being on the same game engine will help streamline the development process in a few ways. They can now learn lessons from the previous title and implement changes or optimizations much more quickly. So in theory, as time goes on, we'll see a much more polished experience, especially when it comes to that release date, which we all know Call of Duty really struggles with that first week. This is something we've seen partially with the launch of Modern Warfare 23. Now, don't get me wrong, the launch of the game had its problems, but it was nowhere near as broken as previous releases. Another benefit to being on the same game engine is dev teams can now share resources and assets across the board to cut down on some of the workload even more, giving them more time to focus on innovating and creating new content for the game. Really bad analogy here, but entertain me. Imagine two artists each with the same canvas, paintbrush, and color palette. Now, just because they have the same tools, colors, and canvas doesn't mean that they'll both create similar paintings. Now, lastly, with all the games being built on the same engine going forward, devs can much more easily bounce from studio to studio or have support studios come in and pick up some of the workload. So if a game is struggling in one department, it should be much easier for whoever is having the issue to get some help. Obviously, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but I'd imagine this should reduce that crunch we all know Call of Duty dev teams go through as the launch window for their game is approaching, or even during the life cycle. It's clear that Activision has very strict deadlines that don't budge, so being able to get support during those times will hopefully make the work life of the devs a bit better. Another possibility is that Treyarch will take the framework of the new engine and build their own modifications on top of it, the way they did back in the early days of Call of Duty, where each studio kind of started on the same engine and evolved in different directions over time. In theory, this would allow for Treyarch to build on top of an already optimized engine, but add in their own unique visuals, game mechanics, and effects to the game, kind of being the best of both worlds when it comes to consistency and innovation. How much flexibility the engine has when it comes to the art style, I'm not sure. Again, if Modern Warfare 3 Zombies is any indication, then I don't have much hope that the game will look and feel like a proper Treyarch game, but maybe that's just because they had to match the feel and art style of Modern Warfare 3 so that everything was consistent. We've heard leaks and rumors about Black Ops Gulf War allegedly having the best movement so far, but the leaks seem to go back and forth on whether or not tac sprint and slide canceling mechanics will be present in the game. I really hope tac sprint doesn't end up in the game, but that's just me. I much prefer the classic movement we had in Call of Duty that we last had in Black Ops Cold War. But that's all I got for this video. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Are you looking forward to Gulf War? Do you think Call of Duty is just stale no matter what at this point? If you want to watch another video, click here.